Hey, yo, hey, my name is Annette. I'm here from Word on the Curve podcast. I want to thank you for joining me here this evening. I want to remind you that we only get one shot at this thing called life, right? And sometimes we waste it on useless things. But one of the things I think that's important to all of us is drinking water, blueberry or watermelon. Sometimes I like to mix them because I have to drink water and sometimes it's difficult. So I get it in any way that I can. So here we go this evening. Thank you for me. I am your host here at Word on the Curve podcast, and I am very happy to be here with you. I want to remind you that water is not optional. It's really not. It's something that we should all drink. And I want to remind you that minding your business is not optional either, if you're going to have any peace. So, in the meantime, let's get into our topic tonight, right? We're talking about dating differently. That's exactly what we're talking about. Dating differently, right? And so this podcast tonight at Word on the Curve hits home because I too had to learn how to date differently. I did. And not for lack of understanding, but for the lack of what's out there. That's right. For that lack. I had to learn how to date differently. And I'm telling you, it's been interesting. Interesting in that I've met quite a few people. Will I date them all? Absolutely not. But the opportunity to meet them and have options has increased tremendously. And tremendously because I changed my way of thinking. I had to. I maybe should not have mixed the pie and the watermelon and the blueberry. That might not have been a good idea. I do it sometimes. Doesn't mean it's always the best thing to do. But let's get into it, right? So, dating differently just and playing grown is about, being your full authentic self, which is not easy for a lot of people either, right? To be your full authentic self. And so tonight we're just going to get into that a little bit. And I want to make 3 points this evening, as I typically do in my podcast. And the first one is that fear has kept people stuck in places that don't necessarily include peace. Most folks aren't staying single because they're living their best life. Mm-mm. That's not why they're doing it. They're staying single because they're not really sure how to live a life. And so, as we take a look at that, and we have no fear, we're going to deal with that too. Actually, we've already started dealing with it. It's getting better. As you can see, I'm staying on longer. You can hear me. That's the internet service. I'm absolutely powerless over that. But I'm not powerless over bringing you a good word, right? From the curve. And here's what they're talking about from the curve. This is, in fact, a word from the curve. Fear keeps people stuck. Staying stuck in situations are not always living your best life. We're staying stuck sometimes because we're afraid. We're afraid to be seen, judged, or disappointed again. And I know I don't have to ask you how many people dating have been disappointed. When you think you're in a relationship and they're not, disappointed because they tell you and act otherwise until the moment presents itself where they have to be honest. And honesty doesn't always fit with the behavior that they've been experiencing. But, the second thing is you can't get chosen if you're invisible. People always say to me, You say you're interested in dating, but you're always in the house or you're always going somewhere or doing something that doesn't include the opportunity to date. Yeah, well, that's the way I live. But staying off the scene and dodging people and dodging invites is not going to make it easier for me to date. It's not. And I recognize that. And see, I'm keeping the focus on myself because what I want you to know is a lot of this stuff applies to me. It does. So staying at home and not showing up, and not giving myself the opportunity to meet people and do things, I've worked on that a lot. I've gotten better, you know. So that's number two. And number three is if you're interested, you got to be interesting. And that doesn't mean you have to know everything or you have to be perfect. It simply means that energy attracts energy. That's why sometimes when you get a bad vibe and you step off and people are not sure about why you're stepping off, you caught that energy, right? Energy attracts energy. We can't get away from that. The I still got it. Confidence hits different when you show up as your full, fun, unfiltered, and unbothered self. That's right. And so examples of that would include for you saw someone glance at you in Costco. There was a time when people looked at me and I'd be like, "You looking at? I'm not getting kidnapped." And I doubt very seriously if anybody was interested in kidnapping me. But I was kidnapped up here. And until I got this free, I couldn't do anything else. And see, I learned that. And I know that. And it took some time. A lot of people are kidnapped. They're in relationships that they think they're in, and they're actually not. They're doing three ways, and I don't mean on the phone. And they think they're in a relationship. They're not. They're in situationships, right? And sometimes, when in my case, he, because that's my interest, glances at me over the rotisserie chickens, right? I don't panic anymore. I don't look away and I don't walk off. I look back like, eh, and smile, right? Smile. Sometimes the smile makes all the difference in the world. Just smile because we're dating different. We're playing grown up. And age has nothing to do with it. I dealt with somebody who was in their late 50s and they acted like they were in their late 5-year-old kindergarten fashion regularly. Very smart, very engaging, but very childish, right? Now, I'm not being derogatory. I'm just, telling the truth, right? So being grown has nothing to do with our age. It has to do with our attitude. It's an A. It begins with an A, but it's the attitude and not necessarily the age, because a younger man can sometimes give me more good energy than a guy in my age group. But I digress because the point is, right, is our attitude. It's not our age. Never too late to date. It's never too late to start over. When people invite me out, most times I say, I'll let you know. That was then. Now, if I'm interested in saying, instead of saying, I'll let you know, I'll simply say, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to put that on my calendar. And I can't promise you that I'll stay for the entire event, but I promise you I'll be at the event. That's a big change for me, right? And I only surround myself with people now who have good energy. Unless there's a situation where I have to play with people, even when I don't want to. And there are a few situations like that. But as a whole, if that energy is not rocking, neither am I. So when I'm invited out now, if I'm available, I'll go. If I'm in the area, I will go. And where and how and what I'm doing is not up for grabs. If I say I'm not here, or I'm not going to be in the area, I'm not going to be in the area. You know, I've been on dates where the conversation just felt so dry, like I was being dragged across sandpaper. And listen, For those of you who had an interest, may have an interest, or will have an interest later, don't ask me what I bring to the table because, baby, if the energy is right, I am the table and so are you. Don't ask me. Find out, right? Um, I could tell that when I was on this date that the person wasn't really present, right? Well, he wasn't there. So listen, keep your unhealed self at home. Don't come out trying to date when you're unhealed because all you're going to do is spill on to other people. And some of y'all don't know when you're unhealed because you're used to it. I said what I said. I learned to stop treating my healing process from a trauma relationship after I became a widow. After I became a widow, I learned to stop treating my healing process as if it was a prison. It wasn't. I'm allowed to feel again. I'm allowed to smile again, and I'm certainly allowed to try again. And I'm not broken, I'm building. You're not broken either. You're building. Give yourself a chance. Date differently. Don't date with the intention of whether the head in bed is going to be good. You're going to fail in that area, I promise you. Because relationships built on that usually fail anyway. Because if you don't know by now, you'll find out it don't last forever. Nothing lasts forever, you know. So stop treating your healing as if it's a prison. It's not. And say yes more often. I learned to do that. I say yes more to brunches, to movies, to theater, to different places. And right now, I'm in the middle of something that's going to be very difficult for me, and it's going to shut some things down for a little bit. It involves grief, but I promise you, one of the things that I've learned in all of my grieving is that I have to live while I'm living and life is going to go on. As painful as it's going to be, it's going to go on, right? It hurts. But I'm saying yes more to invitations. I'm kind of proud of myself for that, because it took some time, you know. And whenever I'm out, I bring my whole self to the place. I do. Uh, Not the version that's trying to impress you, the version of who I actually am. So if I'm going to laugh and, and do, that's what I'm going to do. Except or reject me. Because if you judge me on my laugh, if you're judging me on my looks and what I'm wearing, you've already failed. Because none of that stuff sustains itself. Connection does, and good energy does. Don't forget that. Date differently. Stop looking at what people have. Most people think you have more than you do, and the other half thinks you have less than you do. Don't worry about it because whatever they have, nothing could be bigger, better, or more important than their good character. And the only way you're going to find out about good character is to take your time and get to know them. You're dropping your heads in beds too fast. And maybe that's all you want, but I'm not that kind of girl. And neither is the crowd I run with. It's a small crowd, but neither are they. Substance, good character, good vibes. If he mistreats his mother or sister, he can't be good for me. If he speaks ill of his children, and all of our children are absolutely insane at some point or another. But I want every kid out there to know your parents did the best they could, including me. Were we perfect? Nah. But if you ate well, you lived well, you had a safe home, you had parents that cared, you had parents that were present, go find your therapy someplace else. We did the best we could do, right? But if he mistreats his kids, his mother, his sister, his wife, people in a restaurant, that's the last date, the first and last. This episode is just a spark. Stay tuned because we're going to be talking about a lot of things coming up. We want to go deeper into why people aren't dating. There's a lot of foolishness out there. Now, don't miss my message. And don't forget that I've told you over and over again, stop romancing these social media marriages. Half of them are lying. If they're not saying to you, I didn't speak to him for 2 days, or he's not saying, you know what? They told me to leave my stress at the door, so I put her on the front porch for a couple of hours and lock the door. They're not telling you those truths. They're not telling you the truth. If they're pretending, we're so great and we talk and we travel and we're just so in love. Listen, that ain't reality. Get your own reality. Date different and play grown. This is just a spark. We're talking how to build your dating confidence because a lot of people lack it. I did for a long time. We're talking about how to flirt again. Do you know how to flirt? I had to learn how to do that again. I was always married. I had to learn how to do that again, right? We're going to give you some flirting advice. What doesn't apply, let it fly, right? To flirt without feeling foolish, to flirt, excuse me, and how to stop letting the past block your next. Because grown folks deserve grown love. Grown folks deserve grown love. A lot of y'all out here playing on the playground with little boys and girls, but you know it. I don't have to tell you that. With laughter, with chemistry, energy, connection. It's about the connection. It's about the connection, right? It's about the connection. It's about the chemistry. It's about the laughter. It's about the grown love. Not these folks getting on face. Look, they done broke up 23 times and then come back talking about, oh, we're celebrating our third anniversary. You're confusing us. Stop it. Or at least don't bring it to Facebook or social media or TikTok or Instagram. Keep that stuff behind closed doors. So that's your business. We don't want to be in your business, but when you put us in your business, don't confuse us. Okay? Tell the truth for a change. All that nonsense and those lies about how you met. You might be fooling others, but you're not fooling some of us. Grown folks deserve love. And yes, the glow you thought you lost, it's right out there waiting for you. Stop talking about the good ones are gone. No, they're not. There's still some good folks out there. Start hanging around good folks. You can't hang in the parking lot and expect to know what's in the dinner club or the theater or the library or even Home Depot sometimes or Lowe's. I don't think we're doing Home Depot right now, but Lowe's. Costco over the rotisserie chicken, right? So, just to give you an example, I was out the other day and I ran into somebody just the way I like them, tall, dark, just everything I like, right? And they said, so what's up with you? How have you been? What are you doing? My first response automatically was minding my business and smile, right? Smile back. And so I said, and sometimes I don't even know what business I have. So we laughed. That's it. Learn to laugh. Learn to be friendly. Learn to be everything. When you're used to being guarded because of marriage, which was my case for so long, or then after being widowed, getting into a twisted, complicated mess of something, right? I was a little guarded. And so I'm still got a great bit of discernment. I'm not as guarded anymore. And what I would suggest to you is learn how to flirt. Learn how to look over those rotisserie chickens and smile. Learn how to be your full, authentic self and stop living up to the people you see on social media talking about how perfect their relationships are or showing themselves in all of their grandeur. If they have to show you everything all the time, it means they don't really have it. And if they do really have it, they're heavily in debt. Decide where you want to be. Think different and play grown. We'll see you next week. We're talking about how to flirt. Yeah, I had to learn again too. Good night.